Quite remarkable events have been taking place within the borders of the Russian Federation in recent days. Many reports indicate that the Ukrainian army's counteroffensive have slowed down, but this is a temporary situation. According to mentioned report, one of the biggest reasons for the slowdown of Ukrainian army's counteroffensive is that the Ukrainian army forces are making new preparations. But it does not leave the Russian army and the Russian Federation completely free while the armed forces of Ukraine are preparing for new attacks. As you may recall, recently there was a big explosion at an important factory in the capital of the Russian Federation. The Ukrainian army wants to put Russia in difficult positions before launching new waves of counterattacks by launching attacks on strategic points belonging to Russia. So, what is the latest situation in the Ukrainian army's attacks on the back of the front line? Let's take a look together. Recently, Moscow, the capital of Russian Federation, was shaken by violent explosions. During the explosions in question, a large explosion occurred at Zagreb's optical mechanical factory in Posad, one of the cities of the Moscow region. Russian law enforcement agencies had been placed in the highest level of alert due to the explosions that took place in the early morning in Russian Federation. But this level of alarm did not work. Moscow, which could not get over the shock of explosions at the Zagreb's optical mechanical factory, was shaken by explosions once again in the evening. In the evening, a violent noise was heard in the Domodedovo district of Russia. After the violent noise, smoke covered the entire area. The local population had poured into streets in a great panic. No one, including Russian authorities, knew the source of the violent noise and the smoke. As the minutes passed, the situation became clear. Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles had hit the press service of the Moscow Regional Directorate of the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations in Domodedovo region. With the targeting of the press service of Moscow Regional Directorate of the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations, an atmosphere of a great chaos prevailed in the region. For a long time, Russian citizens could not enter their homes. In addition to the press directorate, it was also reported that a fire broke out in a 1,000 square meters car service located in Domodedovo. Russian sources are giving limited information about the explosions in the region. According to local sources, the area where the explosions occurred was located at a very central point. Therefore, it is reported that the importance of the explosions experience is quite large. It is claimed that Russian Federation has suffered a huge economic loss. Domodedovo is a home to one of the most important international airports in Moscow Oblast. It is reported that flight traffic has been stopped at the airport located in Domodedovo due to these attacks. In addition, radar scans clearly show that Domodedovo airport has been closed. Moscow, the capital of the Russian Federation, has been rocked by 2 violent explosions in just one day. Moreover, according to the claims, the cause of the 2 explosions were Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles. As you know, the Ukrainian Armed Forces have gained a lot of experience in the use of unmanned aerial vehicles. This experience leaves the Russian Federation facing great dangers. What happened in Moscow region was just the beginning, because according to the allegations, Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles had also targeting the Kursk Oblast, which is located on border with Ukraine. According to the allegations, Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles, which were activated at noon, had targeted an administration building located in Kursk Oblast. Heavy smoke rose from the area after the said attacks. Then a big fire broke out in the area. Although Russian fire crews took action, it took a quite long time for them to bring the fire under control. Russian sources remain silent about the balance sheet of the attack that took place in the region. There are many explosions every day within the borders of the Russian Federation. These explosions are cause fire. The anger of Russian citizens who have to stay in panic and fear every day against Russian Federation President Vladimir Putin is also growing exponentially. Russian leader Putin, on the other hand, wants to cover up this anger with the supposed achievements of Russian armed forces. However, the successful resistance of Ukrainian armed forces is causing the failure of Russian leader Vladimir Putin's propaganda. The Ukrainian army is fighting a big fight for the end of the Russian occupation by hitting ammunition depots, checkpoints and buildings belonging to the occupation administration of the Russian army on the front line, just as the hitting targets located within the borders of the Russian Federation. In particular, the experience gained by Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles and Ukrainian artillery units throughout the war leaves quite big damage in the Russian army. The recent successful attacks by Ukrainian artillery on the front line has also caused a great echo in the Russian public opinion. Quite violent explosions have been heard in Nova Kakhovka, which is located on front line recently. Initially, Russian sources suggested that the explosions were only natural gas explosions. However, local sources did not agree with Russian sources. Local sources were claiming that Nova Kakhovka was hit by Ukrainian artillery. As the hours progressed, Russian sources had to confirm the claims of local sources. Ukrainian artillery units have blown up an important building in Nova Kakhovka with a successful operation. Local sources initially announced that the building that was hit was an ammunition depot. However, in the following hours, Ukrainian official sources made statements and shared with the public the real information about the status of the building that was hit. The Strategic Communications Department of the Armed Forces of Ukraine used the following statements in its statement about the attacks in questions. Around 10 a.m., the Ukrainian Armed Forces struck the command post of the Russian army in Nova Kakhovka, which was temporarily occupied. In addition, it is reported that the electromash factory located in the region was also hit during the aforementioned attacks. According to local sources, the vast majority of Russian occupation units were stationed around the electromash factory. Therefore, the possibility that a large number of Russian soldiers may have perished after the attack is often talked about. Russian official sources, on the other hand, have not yet many new statements about the latest situation in the region. The developments taking place within the borders of the Russian Federation clearly reveal the difficult situation Russia is in. The attacks carried out by Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles on important points crossing Russia's borders are interpreted as a major security weakness. It is becoming clear that these claims of Russian sources who talk about the range and self-proven air defense systems are just a marketing strategy. And what do you think? How do you think the balance sheet resulting from the explosions in Russia will affect the Russian people? Do you expect the anger against Putin to grow? How do you think the Ukrainian army's offensive in Nova Kakhovka will affect the front line? We care about your opinions. Please share them with us.